beautiful muses. Welcome to another Friday Insight with your yes, no, maybe questions. Just a few things about your questions and how to phrase them before we talk about the piles. So when you phrase your question, do it so that getting a yes would be a positive outcome to you. Just so that we're all kind of on the same page and interpreting things in a similar way. The other thing to know about your questions is this reading is definitely meant to bring yes, no, maybes to questions where you still have the potential to have an effect on this. There's still room for you to, room for growth in your question. So if this is a question where there, for you, will be a black and white no, that's something where you can really just sort of like flip a coin. It's not what we're here for. So an example might be, if you have already done a final interview and you're wanting to know if you're going to get the job, that's a pretty black and white, that's out of your hands. You don't really have any more impact you can put into this question. You're just waiting for the answer. Those aren't great for this reading. What would be great, or you could, maybe you're in that situation, but you could phrase the question sort of like, would this job make me happy if I got it? Or will I find a job that will make me happy in the way that I'm searching at the moment? That kind of thing. So, obviously there's a massive spectrum of questions that can come here. So that's just like one speck of, a way of phrasing and type of questions that you will get better answers from, or, what questions aren't great to bring here. So, okay, that all said, let's look at our 4 piles. We've got pile 1, which is moss agate. We have pile 2 with a clear crystal quartz. We have pile 3 with moonstone. And our final pile 4 with flower agate. Kind of matches the flowers I just picked in my garden. Okay, so if you have your own method for picking cards, you can pause here, and timestamps are in the descriptions. If you like the breath work I do to help kind of drop you into intuition as well as open you up to higher self and inspiration, we will do that now. So place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel that stability underfoot. Feel held by the earth. And now take a deep breath into that to really weight into and embody into your body. Hold. And you can exhale that. And now take another breath, and this time suck the air up, up, up into the space between your brows. Hold that. Suck in a little bit more to add pressure. And out loud, exhale, opening your crown chakra. And now you can gaze over these 4 stones, these 4 piles, and ask which one has your most aligned message. All right, I will see you guys in your readings. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your Friday Insight with your yes, no, maybe answers to your questions. You guys picked this beautiful moss agate point, and we're just gonna sort of said it wanted to be by the flowers for some reason. So that's where it's hanging out.
And before we get to the cards, I always like to dive in a little bit to any intuitive hits I got from focusing on your stone, your pile, and how the cards felt as I was drawing. And I did just kind of get this feeling, just like your stone, that you may be like a little bit dreamy, kind of lost in something, not like lost and struggling, like sort of lost in some sort of dreamy time. And so I don't know that that's going to necessarily affect the yes, no, maybe, but I do get, depending on your question, that like maybe right now is like a time to relax more, but we'll see what your cards have to say. Okay, so this top row are your tarot cards, and that's what we're going to use to kind of tease out the yes, no, maybe here. So we've got the World. Yeah, I feel like you've maybe come to, so 5 of Pentacles, come to the culmination of something. And it's time to kind of like rest some weary feet, weary bones, weary energy, and then 8 of Wands. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly what I'm getting. I think that you've been moving. I think that you've been holding a lot. And I think that whatever this question is around, it's done a really beautiful job of sort of changing your values and bringing you new skills and experiences. At the same time, I think that there's maybe some disappointment around some outcomes connected somehow, maybe not directly to what you're asking about, but on the foundations or underneath this. I think there are some disappointments materially of like how much it's like on one hand you've gained like some mastery, some kind of strength, some kind of pinnacle, but on the other hand it hasn't kind of helped you reap what you hoped it did, and it's been like a very busy time. And that's why I'm getting this thing that like I think the universe is opening up to you to just have some space right now. Like don't try to hustle again right away. So I'm sort of feeling like this is a no for right now, not a no forever, but I'm feeling like this question may have something to do with like the next thing, or should I focus on this? Should I do this next? Should I move towards this next? But like a next step, and I'm just getting the sense that it's like I think the universe is conspiring to give you space and to not worry about what is next quite yet. It's like you need to decompress. But let's see what the astrology says. So we have Ceres, trine sextile with symbiosis, and retrograde review. Yeah, exactly. Like there's been a lot of work, there's been a lot of movement, a lot of action. I think you've really underneath whatever this question is, there's something in your life where you really have established some strength and expertise in something in you. And for whatever reason, it didn't sort of like in worldly ways take you where you hope, but I think in spiritual ways and in lived experience ways and wisdom ways, there's a lot you need to recognize about kind of an amazingness that you've established. And it's time to kind of just review this all, to kind of step back, kind of reflect on all of this, maybe do some journaling. It's not time to move forward. So this does confirm to me that there is a no, at least for right now here. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. We've got lingam and exchanging gifts. And the way, due to what we've already seen, that I'm going to be reading these is like you have really done a lot of kind of giving and receiving and exchanging and been very high octave energy in that, a lot of assertive energy there. And there are, you know, there are things that you received here in exchange, but maybe you're not seeing what those are. And maybe that's what this review is like you need to look back on things and really become more aware of what exchanges have happened, even if they weren't necessarily in a material or worldly way. I think there were a lot of kind of soulful exchanges, but I feel like you were looking for more kind of obvious exchanges, but it's time to kind of reflect and think about things sort of more metaphorically and in terms of soul growth and personal growth and spiritual growth, and kind of shed certain disappointments that have maybe been had. It's sort of like it's time to just look back. What was. So what were the things that were exchanged? What are the things that you did come into a certain kind of strength and mastery of? And how was that exchanged upon? Because this is indicating that there was exchanges here. Okay, let's look at, so bouquet, compliments from an admirer. So maybe you gained a lot of admirers, but you were hoping that admiration maybe would turn more material, but it just stayed sort of admiration. But for whatever reason, that was sort of the energetic exchange that was meant to take place for you. Then ear, good news. I love seeing this. I think that the good news, I think there can be a yes to your question, but only, you know, it's going to take some time. Only after you've taken the time to find space to kind of daydream and take advantage of space being given to you right now and reflect on things and really start to switch into a feeling of gratitude for certain admiration and strength and sort of mastery around something that's happened, and really become appreciative of what exchanges did take place. And once you can kind of get into that place of feeling gratitude versus sort of disappointment, good news is coming your way, whether it's a yes to this question or if something else just comes along. As you know, you let that sort of time and space and new orientation to feeling grateful versus like, this only brought me lack. I hope this answers your question. So it's like a no for right now, but there's beautiful things you're needing to just take some space with, reflect on, and see what the good was and channel some gratitude for that. And then at that point, some good news will be headed your way. Potentially the yes to this question, but potentially something else that's, you know, more meant for you. Okay, that is where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope this resonated. If so, I always appreciate the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. And yeah, have a beautiful day wherever you are and whatever season you're in. All right, see you guys. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your Friday Insight with your yes, no, maybe questions. So you guys picked this beautiful clear quartz point, and it's really funny that usually I will kind of tap in, tune into your stone to tune into your group, your pile, and then like feel into the cards as I'm working with them and shuffling and picking them. And messages, like I look for intuitive hits before we even get into, as I'm preparing, and then I talk about those before we get into the cards and see what's under them. And these tend to come in a lot of variety of ways. Sometimes I get feelings, sometimes I get body sensations, sometimes the cards are just handling in a very specific way, and sometimes the stone has an energy. And it has been so consistently clear this time. The stones have been so bossy. It's like the message is from them, and they're like, I don't care what else happens, I'm telling you what happens. And your stone was so different than the first stone. It was like, the first stone was like kind of daydreamy and hiding and wanted to be the flowers, and this one was like, no, I want front and center, I want a star position. And I had to keep changing where it was because it felt like it was like, no, not here, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. At the same time as I was picking cards, it was like everything was coming out from like underneath. So I do get this feeling that there's this energy around either you or your question where it's like you're really kind of either shining right now or looking to shine, and there's kind of boss energy there. But there's also some things you're playing close to your chest that are like in incubation or in planning stage that you're still kind of keeping under wraps, but you're still feeling like very out there and present or something. I don't know how that, if that relates more to your question or more to just your general vibe right now. I don't know. Take that as you will, but let's dive into the cards and get this yes, no, maybe. And I'll keep all of what I've already said in mind. So this top row are your tarot cards, and we're going to flip those over to tease out that yes, no, maybe. So we've got Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, that's the fastidious energy I was feeling, like eager, active, assertive, alert, but really particular, really caring about how things look, feel, sound, taste, touch kind of thing. Yeah, there's something where you're really molding life, it feels like. And then Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, I mean, both of these. That's the kind of more boss energy that I was feeling. So there was kind of like this fastidiousness and assertiveness, and then there was this boss thing. And then we've got last Four of Pentacles. This is so funny because that would be stuff that is still kind of like not quite ready to put out there, still gaining some strength, still kind of sitting on something. And I would just say, I'm going to give some advice before I even like tap into the yes, no, maybe, in that you've got this, whatever your question is about, like just trust the timing here. Earth, these pentacles are very, earth energy is very slow, steady, stable. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. It's the tortoise in that. It will win ultimately, but it's going to take its time. Just thinking even of like something that, like grass growing, it's not going to grow faster by you pulling on it. And I think you already know that. The senses I was already getting is like you're just like very sure and comfortable in that. It's just kind of confirmation. Like you'll know when it's time to. I think there's something around this question, that stuff that you're keeping close to the chest, that all those cards that were coming from the bottom of the deck, something I was feeling like you're keeping under wraps. It's just like, trust your intuition. You'll know when this thing or when you feel strong enough to show it. But it's like incubating, it's gaining strength kind of under the surface of things right now. What I would say though, and this is where I'm going to say that this is a maybe, and it's going to be up to how you trust yourself and trust your intuition, because the Four of Pentacles, there is a warning here that we can sit on certain resources, never feeling like it's ready or something's strong enough, or like we have to save everything, and not put energy and resources and material into flow. And when we just let it sit there, it can kind of rot and corrupt and lose its value over time, versus if you put it out into action, put it out into the world, use it in wise ways, it stays up with inflation. It stays up, it brings you, it generates movement and flow, and it stays in that, inflation kind of, its value will rise as value rises over time, versus if you just continue to sit on it, it loses value. So the yes is up to you, in that I do get the sense that something isn't quite ready yet, but it's coming there. And you have to trust your intuition. And if you trust your intuition, and even if you feel sort of like tentative or hold some, material fear about how much you are saving, there is this warning here that if you just decide to continue saving and saving and saving whatever is here, and not do something active with it when you feel the time is right, if that fear overcomes that impulse to use whatever this yes would be, then this won't bear fruit. But if you take action on that impulse and that intuition when it is like, okay, this is the right time, and if you can overcome fear about putting some resources out there, I do feel like this question definitely, it's pentacles, something to do with the material world, resources, the such. Could even be qualities or values you have inherently, or a skill you've developed that you need to put out there that can, result in some material movement. But in some way it is connected to material, even if it's indirectly, because it's more about something you can do, or, but the thing is, like, not to just sit on this and feel like it's never quite ready. You're correct at the moment that it isn't quite ready, but it's coming very soon, and you do need to take action to get your yes. Okay, let's look at the astrology. We've got Virgo digest. We've got Uranus change. And Cancer immerse. Yeah, this totally reflects to me. I feel a lot of synergy there about what I've already said. Yeah, I think there's something you're cultivating, you're organizing, you're being fastidious about. I do get this sense that maybe you're putting a lot of processes and systems into place, hoping that that is going to lead to some change, and that is in fact showing. But you have to kind of come out from hermit mode. You have to find some courage. You have to believe you have the strength. When that impulse, when Uranus comes, when that timing opens to you, you have to jump when the time is saying jump, and when that inner impulse is saying jump, and overcome some fear of like, no, it's too risky, don't jump. there's a lot of cautious energy up here. And then Cancer's showing that like need to keep things safe and protected, but you're going to have to overcome that. To get your yes, you're going to need to jump when the time and that inner impulse align, and it's like now. It's like a window opening, and there's a moment for you to jump, for this to kind of be put into action in the world the way it could be. So it's a maybe. It's up to you to, kind of jump when that timing and that inner impulse align. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. We've got karma and flexible. Yeah, so there's maybe some things right now from the past that you're processing, that you're facing, for good or bad, and you're just having to be flexible right now to kind of see your way through everything. I think these karmic situations are maybe bringing a lot of change, and you're just trying to process it slowly, and literally process it, instead of just sort of like being hit by life. You're trying to slow it down a little to process it. That's your method, and you feel very that's how you feel sort of in command and bright in life, is being able to kind of slow things down, control them, mold them, possess them, and it's sort of like, I think there's just maybe a lot of stuff coming at you, and so you're needing that time to kind of process this all. And I think this is just saying stay flexible. There may be some control things you need to let go of a little bit and be a little bit more flexible, and really recognize when those sort of timings in the world that are pushing you a little faster than you like are actually for your good, and the universe trying to, push you in right directions. So it's like, do your processing, do your method. You can still be in that, but you need to stay a little more flexible right now to kind of keep up with the pace and new openings that the universe is trying to bring your way. And maybe some of these things are also karmically orchestrated that are coming in. I think you're dispelling some karma, and new karma is coming up that's more positive. Okay, let's look at, so we've got egg, success assured with good plans and hard work. We've seen that. You're very good at that, I believe. And then parrot, someone will gossip about all your secrets. And maybe that's where some of this privacy, some of this, there's something that you're keeping close to your chest right now, I think for a reason. And I still just think that you're needing to be a little more flexible and paying attention to when the universe is pushing you in a certain way, to be a little bit more impulsive when that's happening, and flexible. And I think some of these things you're trying to keep more private are eventually going to be out there anyway. So it's sort of like, just allow the movement. The universe has your back. It may feel hard for a minute, or a little like some insecurity or unsureness that may come up because of it. But if you stay flexible within, like, I love this version of flexibility. This person is so strong to be able to do that. So it's like, you don't have to lose your strength to be flexible. You can still hold your strength. You're a strong person, but you need to practice flow within that strength. You need to practice flexibility within that strength. Because there are ways that the universe is trying to push you right now And it's just, you can't totally control that. And it may mean some things you're trying to keep under wraps kind of get out there, but I don't think it's a big deal. And you just need to kind of like brush it aside. Like, people are going to say what they're going to say kind of thing. And it's, I don't care. Try and channel that like that's what people think about me is none of my business, you know? And who cares anyway? The universe is trying to lead you to something amazing here. So yeah, don't resist that, even if it's faster than you like. Okay, I hope this answered your question. So just to reiterate, it is a maybe if you kind of tune into and channel the things I've said. You can very much so get your yes, but it's, yeah, there's some work on your end, awareness on your end, efforting on your end to get that yes, but it's very much so there for the taking. And the universe is trying to help you get this yes, to be honest. So just, you know, trust that those sort of unseen forces that are shaking things up, pushing you certain ways, they're for a reason, and you just kind of have to go with it. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. All right, I'll see you guys later. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your Friday Insight with your yes, no, maybe questions. You guys picked this Moonstone point. And it's been very interesting in this reading series. I always tune in at the start of before I start your readings, into your stone and into the energy as I'm drawing cards. And there's usually, different things that I'll tap into for intuitive, hits of like, body sensations, feelings, the way the cards are kind of handling your stone in general. And this time across the board so far, it's been, the stones have been the boss. They've been very communicative. And, in case you go to multiple piles, I don't necessarily want to give away what pile 1 and 2 were like, but they were very kind of opposed type of energies, and yours feels like more sent in the center of that, like a little bit more in a flow state, like a Goldilocks zone, the right zone, like in the right flow of things, if that makes sense. Like your stone wasn't too bossy, but it kind of knew what it wanted, and it felt relaxed and beautiful. Anyway, so that's just the vibe I got. The other thing that happened is this top card here. This was the last card that I drew, and it felt like I just kept shuffling and shuffling and shuffling, and a card was not sort of like popping out from either onto the table or from the deck a little. And I kept in my mind, because most of these tea leaf cards are red, but there are a handful of green or purple ones. And I kept feeling like I think a green or a purple is trying to come out here. And then finally, as one did come out, it was this purple one, and it's one of the months of the year. So in relation to your question, I think this is going to be an important timing for your question. Okay, so to get to the actual yes, no, maybe, we are going to look at this top row of cards, which are the tarot cards. Okay, so we've got Knight of Wands, which is beautiful energy, assertive, energetic, fiery, dramatic, and then we've got Two of Swords, which sometimes can sort of be like indecision or a stalemate. It can also sometimes be conflict, and King of Cups. A lot of court cards coming out in these readings. A lot of people, I think it's going to be a social Majority of people coming to these usually come the week of posting it, so I think it's going to be kind of like a social week ahead, universally. And then whenever you are here, even if it's later, I think for you it's going to be kind of a social time, because even in this Two of Swords, it's two beings, figures, and maybe these are the two figures, Knight of Wands, King of Cups. Maybe there's sort of like something you are weighing, whether this is within you or outside of you. It could be two aspects of you trying to kind of come to some sort of agreement, or two people outside of you that you're trying to kind of balance energy around. One might be family, like a father, or someone in your family that feels sort of like really emotionally wise and stable. And then one might be not necessarily family, someone creative, assertive, theatrical, I'm getting sort of like vibes of dancer, actor, still like a beautiful skill, a flaunting of a skill though here. And so whether that's two aspects of yourself you're trying to find the right balance in, or something you're having to decide about outside of you, or two people you're trying to balance, what I am feeling here is both of these figures. This person is very centered meditatively and spiritually, and you even see these two same shapes, very equal and balanced. And then even though it's not so symmetrical and centered, there is this kind of line and strength of balance in this too. I'm honestly getting whatever this is about, whether it's two things you're struggling with within you, two people outside of you you're balancing, or a choice you're trying to make, is like you can't go wrong. And if you have the bandwidth, you can balance both. And so what I'm getting is it's like a yes across the board. Whatever you decide is right for you. Whether you decide to go one way or another, or try to balance both, there's not a wrong way to do this. What you do need to come to terms with is that thing that there is not a wrong way, and you just need to get off of the fence and take action, whatever you decide. So it is a yes, but with the caveat that you just have to make a decision here. You just have to choose something. And that's what it is. It's just like, get off the fence. Like, everything's fine. Everything's flowing. You got this. Whatever you need to do here is going to work out great. What feels best to you? Does this decision, person, inner thing, whatever it is, feel best to you? Does this person, choice, inner tension, whatever this represents to you, feel best to you? Or does taking action on both, do both of these feel right? Or does that feel like too much? If that feels like too much, it's just like, which one feels best? But even so, it doesn't matter, because they're both graceful and beautiful in whatever they're doing. And they've got it. Like, each of these figures on their cards is like really beautifully got their energy, their space, their whatever. It's like, just make a decision. There's no wrong way or choice other than staying on the fence here. That's what's coming through. Okay, let's look at your astrology. We've got 11th house with community, Pluto with rebirth, and alliance with conjunction. What feels most aligned to you? Where do you feel like you have the most allyship, the most kind of like peer and community support? Think about that. Think about where you feel most empowered. And I'll read these kind of similarly, like where do you feel like you plug in the best? How do you plug in the best around this question? Where is your support tribe, your allies, your groups? Actually, and even reading these under here, it's like I think they both have both ways, both sides of this. This is a little bit more, this side has a little bit more community from peers, and this side has a little bit more worldly, kind of networky, collaborative type of energy. And I'm, with that Pluto strength under this Two of Swords, it's like, again, it's like, Pluto is a planet that when we have transits with it, it can freeze us. But when we unlock from that, we can really unleash some empowerment. So it's like you have power here, whichever way you want to go, whatever decision you want to make, you have power, but you need to unfreeze that stalemate, that hold, that fence sitting. Whichever decision you make is going to be beautiful and great, and even if that means both of these things. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. Community. Yeah, I think whichever way you go, you're going to find some community. You just need to maybe that's something that's felt even frozen in you, like that you haven't had community, or you haven't let community in, or something happened with community that felt a little bit traumatic and it froze you, and it's like time to get off the fence and re-engage community because you have a lot to give. Then Anahata, so heart, it's your heart that needs to unfreeze here in order to make this decision. The decision needs to come from your heart. I think your heart's been a little frozen, which is interesting because Pluto actually has like a heart shape on it. And when it freezes us, it is, that's a metaphor with that heart, that it can like freeze our heart. So I think your heart's thawing. You're feeling ready to get off of that kind of time out, stalemate, indecision of just doing something. You're ready to go. The conditions are right. Your heart is thawing. And there's some beautiful, empowering energy to be unleashed that's going to bring so much community your way, whichever way you go. Nest, an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. So this side could feel very important to you. Whether, that gives me a clue as to like, this may be the side you need most, even though this would be just as beautiful. Maybe there's something about this side, because I did feel like a family element here, that maybe this is the first thing you take action on, and then if you have space to do something more exuberant, more out there in the world, this is like more safe, I think. And then let's look at this month. This month is going to be key for you. December, interesting. So I think that is about 6 months from now. There's something that I think this is all going to be, I think your yes will come before that point, but I think you're in thawing motion. So that might take a few months, and then I think you'll start to tiptoe into this side of things. Maybe by like September or something, and then maybe a month or two, or maybe even like August, this side you kind of get off the fence and take action here towards the safe side. And then maybe by September, October, you add in something a little bit more out there, and by December, it's like all this whole spectrum is in flow, and you're just feeling powerful, alive, dynamic, everything, surrounded by beautiful things, beautiful people, beautiful whatever. Because I did get this feeling like there's like a lot of beauty to be unleashed. Your stone had that sense to it. That something was just right, like the conditions are coming into just right phase. And so it's sort of like, don't push yourself, that Pluto thawing thing, just like you thaw things when you take out of the freezer. You can't, it takes some time. So just allow some time with this. And when you make a first decision of like pushing yourself back out around whatever this question is about, like do the safe thing first and then add in, once that feels kind of stable, you feel like this in that situation, then add in the more kind of outer world, theatric, exciting thing, and just know that you got it both. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Beautiful reading. So definitely, a yes, but it's, I think it's a yes. I don't think you're going to sit on this, and I don't think the universe will allow you to sit on it. So it is a yes, but there's a process here. So I'm going to retract that it's dependent on you taking action. I think no matter what happens, that is going to happen. So it is a yes, but just patience. I think you're patient. The feeling I got with this stone was just right. Things are, I'm in a groove. Things are flowing. I got this. I can see that, I think you feel underneath, like in that inner world, that things are moving, and I think you trust that. So just stay with that and know that this is confirmation that is in fact, that inner feeling you have is in fact going to manifest in your outer world, and just let it naturally unfold, kind of thing. All right, this is really where I'm going to leave you. So, I love all the things. Like, share, subscribe if this resonated. And have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. And I will see you in other readings. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your Friday Insight with your yes, no, maybe questions. And before I get into turning over your cards to see what we've got, I love to kind of feel into, your stone and your cards as I'm drawing them, to get, like intuitive hits about this group and your questions that you're bringing here. And it's interesting, the stones in this week's series have been really chatty and bossy, and that was the same with you. It was very particular about where it went, and I immediately noticed, because I wasn't trying to do this, but I immediately noticed that it almost kind of like mirrored this stone, and they have like a similar color. And then because of where it wanted to be, I had to kind of change the orientation of how the camera was zoomed in or out, and like it made it more obvious that something was like slightly askew, and so I had to like kind of reorient the camera just a little bit, which meant I needed to like reorient all the cards, and I kept having to kind of, angles were needing to be, it was like this little thing of like where it needed to be, like orientation became so important. So there's something about, and then I had this thought that a little move being made is going to, not in this like dramatic way, like everything's essentially the same, but there's like a move there's something shifting, it feels like, either with you or with your question, where it's going to make it necessary for a lot of things around this question or around you to shift to a new place and then like get everything in place again, and it will just be slightly reoriented, but kind of doing the same thing and looking basically the same way. And I did get this feeling, definitely not for the majority of you, but I feel like there's maybe a couple of you that will come here that this could be like moving house even, or moving position, or moving job, or something like that, where it's like some, you know, like, I don't see it like moving to a new state or moving companies. It's like moving to a different place in your same town, or moving position within wherever you already are. And so it's like you just have, you know, like things are externally, like in your day-to-day life, not necessarily changing in big ways, but you're just needing to shift to get all of the things feeling right for you, reorienting just a little bit to make things just that much more clicked in for you, is what it felt like, that much more beautiful for your life. And I am kind of looking now at this, and things just feel right. That's what, you know, so there is, yeah, I don't know how that relates to your question, so take it as you will, but I'm going to definitely consider that as I read your cards. That being said, also, when this card came out, something about it felt very special. I don't really know why. It's not like it came out in a weird way. It just, I immediately caught, there's like a face on the inside of the shells, but this upper one in particular just like caught me, and it's like it's like, notice me. Oh, and all of a sudden there's a hummingbird right in front of my window. So that does feel, that's like confirmation that there's something special about this card. So we'll get to that when we get there. Okay, let's dive into the actual cards and actually teasing out the yes, no, maybe here. These top three are the tarot cards that we are going to use for that, for the yes, no, maybe. Knight of Cups. Oh, and I did actually see this card kind of flipped over, and so I was like, okay, I guess it wanted me to see that. And so even this, taking this into consideration, I do think, oh, and I hadn't really thought too deeply about the card, I just had a good vibe about it, but now I'm seeing this Knight of Cups and this rainbow and this joy, and then thinking now about what I've said about all of the intuitive hits beforehand, and now thinking about this card, it's like, yes, things are coming into alignment. So there's definitely a yes. I don't even know what this card is yet, but it's a definite yes. Something is shifting. I think you've been assertive to try and make life feel intuitively, emotionally, and nurturedly better for you. I think you've put energy and drive and activation into that, and I think it's all coming into alignment because you're seeing this rainbow coming, exuding from this figure, and it's like, yes, alignment. It's happened. It's happening. Let's see what this one is. Justice. Yes, the right balance. You're finding the right balance of things, and it's fair, whatever. And so, and then the sun is like victory, winning. But also for me, I always think of the sun as the thing that gives us alignment. It's what we align things with in astrology. And so, yeah, it's like the right alignment, the right balance, and all of the energy and passion you've put into something is finally manifesting. And the shifts are starting to happen, and new orientations are making things click in just, just right. We've got 10th house, so this may be around career for a lot of you. And then again, we have that solar, solar alignment, solar calm, clarify. So it's bringing, just beauty more ease, more beauty. And Venus, yep, more ease and more beauty. In relation to 10th house and authority, and this likely being about career for many of you, this could have to do with like a promotion or just being valued more, or a raise, or moving offices, something like that, like getting a raise, having some new people under you, changing offices, something nicer, but like things are becoming more beautiful around you in whatever alignments coming in and shifts coming in. So even if this isn't career for some of you, it could just be like you feel like you are summiting something, like you've reached your goal, you're accomplishing something, something's manifesting. Yeah, and it's beautiful, it's aligned, it's balanced. It's like you've been waiting for your positive karma to come in, and it finally has, and you've put, I think, a lot of effort into this. Yeah, so good for you. Okay, let's get to that card that seemed really important. So we've got Yoni and Deep Knowing. Yeah, I think this is something you've been working on for some time. You've known just something's hadn't been quite right, and you just followed your deep inner knowing, and you really took action on that. You trusted your intuition, you trusted your inner knowing, you trusted your inherent wisdom. And then Yoni, I always just think of like the divine feminine, just like really trusting that deeper part of you that's, you know, subconscious, that's intuitive, that you can't always explain logically, but it's just like, I just know that I have to do this though. And I think it's oriented around feeling more beauty, pleasure, value in your life. A more relaxed, pleasurable kind of orientation to things. Okay, let's get your tea leaves. Dog, close up, pleasure with a close friend. And so maybe whatever's reorienting is just allowing pleasure to infuse all other areas of your life, including in friendship. And then skull, hidden secrets can harm you. I don't know what that would. Let's pull an astrology card, because I don't see anywhere in any of these cards harm or secrets. And so what could this be pertaining to? And why is it showing up? This one. Chiron, heal. That's interesting, actually. So this is the wounded healer. This is about I think, because of what's already come out in this reading and where we kind of ended up before we got to this skull card, I think this is just filling in some background information, like backstory. I think that wherever you were previously oriented, or where you are starting to orient away from, was due to certain wounds that kept you sort of like stuck somewhere, or some aspect of yourself or your life in like some arrested development, because it brought a lot of sort of fear, or there were some secrets you didn't feel safe kind of working through. And I think you've done the work. That Knight of Cups is like you've found that daring, you found that motivation and drive to face these wounds, to clean them out, and to do some major healing, which now has paved the way to this reorientation, where it's like you're catching up to where life should have been when you were, during the time you got stuck, it's like in this particular, whatever your question revolves around, it's sort of like others who were maybe your peers you saw all of a sudden pulling ahead of you around whatever your question pertains to, and it's like you were stuck, and it's because you had to face some healing that I think was really, it felt like it would harm you to face that, but you found that courage to face it, and it didn't end up being, it never ends up being as terrifying as we think it's going to be, but you did go there. You've gone deep, you've cleaned some wounds out, and instead of starting, so you were here with your peers, and all of a sudden your peers have gone past you around this question, and they're here, and instead of all of a sudden starting and now you're going at the same pace and still moving, but even though you're not being left further and further behind, you're still behind and moving. Instead of it being like that, it's like, no, it's like a time warp. Like you healed this, and you get to immediately like catch up, instead of having to just not get further behind, and progress, but always be behind, if that makes sense. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is you sort of speed through what took others a long time to get through, but also where you were stuck for a long time. But you're going to speed through that. And I think it's because you've had modeling, you've seen other people go through it, you know what, around this question, what to do, what not to do. You have matured in a lot of other ways in life, and you still have lived experience, certain things you've grown in, certain maturity you've developed by standing still. You've grown deeper instead of, forward. You've grown deeper, which gives you that strength to now catch up. And so whatever this question is around, it's like you're catching up where you felt stuck around this question. I hope that makes sense. So that, anyway, is your reading, which I think is really exciting and really beautiful. And I'm really happy for you guys, because I just see so much peace and beauty and pleasure and love here, and like really knowing how to do life and coming in really healed and ready to kind of progress in life. In successful ways. So, all right, this is where I'm going to leave you. If this resonated, I always love all the things like, share, subscribe, and I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. All right, see you guys.